Hello, Alice. How are you?
Hello. I'm okay, thank you. How are
Good.
you? Sorry for your loss.
Oh, God. I
A
feel
wee
like that's
shame.
all anybody can say to me these days is sorry for your loss. It's just been one thing after another. Oh, thank you
Yeah,
so much. So, yeah, it's been a rough week. Taking care of my little Bella and watching her be so sick and doing everything I could to to care for her and to help her get better and um,
yeah, yeah.
just
It wouldn't have been a nice thing to go through, especially with her being so young and
yeah.
everything like that as well. It's just a bloody shame, really.
Yeah. It's been I had a complete she died on, I don't even know what today is, Thursday. She died on Tuesday night. I was just cuddling her and holding her, and she died while I was snuggling her. And then of course, I fell apart. I didn't sleep at all during the night because she's been sleeping next to me every night since I've had her. And so I didn't sleep. So yesterday I was feeling really, really sick and really tired. And I took her over to the vet around 1 o'clock, and they took me into a little private room, and uh, I'm having her cremated, and so they have a whole little plan that you can buy, and so I did that and bought her a little cedar box to go in, and having her name, engraved on the box, and I just fell apart, and I just sobbed. I sat in the parking lot and just sobbed and sobbed. I couldn't quit crying, and till I made myself almost sick. And then I got home, and I just, just was like, oh my goodness. And so anyway, but I slept last night. I took all of my drugs and went to sleep pretty early,
Yeah.
so I could sleep.
Yeah,
And
I didn't expect you to be on last night at all. Just with what's happened.
yeah,
So, yeah, yeah.
yeah, I
Uh,
just,
I knew you needed time. Even though you had only had her for a little time, that doesn't make a difference. It still bloody hurts because she was yours.
yeah,
You know.
well,
And for the simple fact of how young she was as well, she's still practically a baby.
yeah.
Um, so it's just a real shame. Are you going to maybe try and get yourself another sort of like comfort pet, or are
If,
you just going to abandon that idea altogether?
well, temporarily, I can't even imagine going through that again for a while. And, chances are I wouldn't go through that again. But as you know, and as probably well, there's one person in chat, Jazz Naz. Thank you, Jazz Naz, for coming. Um, but, there's, that was the initial well, not the initial purpose, but it turned into that. But I've been, ever since I met her mama Harley, my sister's mastiff. I fell in love with Harley and couldn't wait for Harley to become pregnant, because it was decided that when she becomes pregnant and has her litter, I was going to get the first pick, which I did. And so I was in love with that puppy. I was in love with my Bella before she was even conceived.
Yeah.
And and she really was. I mean, all of my thanks, Jasnaz. She really was, for all intents and purposes, a baby for me. Um,
Yeah.
I and then of course when she got very sick, I was definitely treating her very much like a baby. And there were several horrific moments that I witnessed with her. That poor little thing. Just, in fact, the first day that I took her to the vet was a week ago today. I had sat her on the puppy pad. She'd been sick, and I sat her on the puppy pad because I thought she needed to relieve herself. And I sat her on the puppy pad, and she was on all fours, and she literally just fell over on her side. And I was just beyond myself. I couldn't get dressed fast enough to get her to the vet. It was horrible. And
Yeah.
so yeah, the whole week was just a whole week of caring for her and force feeding her and forcing water and Pedialyte into her and her medicines into her. It was just really, and I thought so much about Dr. Silkman during the whole time, knowing everything that he went through with his Dante, and for how long, he had went through those struggles with Dante, and how, for me, it was a week, with my baby puppy. But for Dr. Silkman, it was much longer, and Dante had been a member of his family for much, much longer. And I thought of Dr. Silkman every single day this last week, and I had compassion for him to begin with, but my compassion for him and his family grew 100-fold. While trying to take care of my Bella this last week. So I may get a pet at some point, but it's going to take some time. I
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's only natural, though,
Yeah,
It's only natural because of what happens, and it's when something like that happens that you do feel relation to somebody who's went through it a wee bit, and as you say, Doc went through it for years with his Dante because he was the family pet. So you can just imagine, you've had a wee taste of what he had to do for years,
for years. Yeah,
and how exhausting and everything like that it would be. So you can understand why he would take time off and things like that as well. So that's why I completely understood about going live last night.
yeah. Well, and I just was like, I just didn't give a fuck about anything, and I didn't even bother to. And it wasn't because I just didn't care, but I just sick, exhausted, but didn't even bother anybody that I wasn't going to be going live last night. I honestly, in those hours yesterday, I just didn't really care about anything. So, except for trying to I needed some sleep, and I needed to get my stomach and my ulcer back in check. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't have spoken last night without breaking down anyway. I mean,
No, no.
it just, me, I'm a crier. I'm a crier in the best of times. So,
Well, from that to a much lighter note,
yes, yes, let's do.
Julius
Yes.
has finally got his clemency. Not exactly what people were wanting. They were hoping that he would get clemency with life with able to get parole. Is that correct?
Yes, or just a straight release altogether. But yes, definitely life with the possibility of parole, because that would have put him able to go into court the next day to ask for parole at that point, because he was already at that point.
Right,
So
right.
yeah.
So now that because it's being put to life imprisonment without parole, does that mean that's it? That's him. He's there for the rest of his life, or can he still fight to prove his innocence? Can he still, appeal and things like that?
I don't, and poor Cherie, Cherie, you're not connected. She's trying to come in the backstage, but her device isn't connected. Um, and I was gonna, hopefully she was gonna be able to answer for sure. I don't know if that means that I don't know what that means. Of course, when Governor Stitt was very clear, without the possibility of parole, and he can never ask for parole, he can never apply for this, he can never do this, he can never do this. But
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know that that's necessarily true. I think that there are going to be avenues that can be at least explored. So it's just going to take
yeah.
more time.
Well, I would hope so. I mean, there's too much evidence there and too much evidence of dirty cops,
Right,
in
right.
my opinion, anyway, from what I've heard and what I've picked up and things like that. I mean, for fuck's sake, it was Bob Macy that done him in the first place. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that should bring up red flags to anyone, especially over the last 10, 20 years. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's why I'm finding it hard that this could be it for Julius. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it's marvelous that, you know, he's getting to live and that they're not going to execute an innocent man.
Right.
But there has been far, in my opinion anyway, there's been far too much evidence that's came out about Julius's case for it to be swept under the rug like it has been before, you know. I mean, that's why I'm thankful for these hearings and things like that he's got, because for what I've picked up, the things have came out that weren't even in the original trial, and evidence being hidden and everything like that, you know. So for there not to be another avenue for him to go, I find that really hard to swallow, you know, because of the amount of evidence that there is there that is a dodgy conviction in the first place.
Right. Yeah. Well, sure it was. Yeah. You know, and like you said, um, um, Bob Macy, you know, whenever Bob Macy's name is in the equation, the answer is going to be corruption.
Yeah.
You know, it's just always going to be that way. And yeah, that should, to me, that should be a part of a new defense or a new trial request or whatever, because there is so much evidence of Bob Macy's corruption, basically. What, 54 or 58, you know, people that he sent to death row, and 10 or 11 of them whose convictions were overturned.
Yeah.
You know, so, and some of those men were actually, some of those innocent men were actually even executed, as we know. So, if it says, if Bob Macy's name is attached to it, they should be able to somehow use that as
And
a
how long
stepping
has
stone.
Julius been in? 20 years.
22 years, yeah.
22 years. Well, you're guaranteed that Gilchrist was the one that done the DNA evidence in that as well. Because in my opinion, they come as a pair.
Yep, exactly. Me too.
You know what I mean? There's no Bob Macy without Gilchrist, and there's no Gilchrist without Bob Macy, in my opinion.
That's right. No, you're
You know
right.
what I mean? So, in my opinion, through all this kerfuffling, Sheree loved it when I said that on my channel the other night. I think it was Sheree. If it wasn't Sheree, it was Catnip. And she went, "Did you just say kerfuffling?" I went, "Yes, I just said kerfuffling."
I like it.
With all the kerfuffling about with the courts and everything like that, I really think his sentence should have been sentence served. Do you know what I mean? Time served.
Right.
Because of the factors, Bob Macy and Gilchrist were the ones that were involved in his sentencing, his whole investigation, and the DNA, any of the forensic evidence that appeared in that case is dodgy, in my opinion, because it would have been Gilchrist that would have done it.
Right. I've been trying to find out, and I guess the person I need to ask is Nosy, and I just never have, but I really need to find out. I've been trying to find out who did do the DNA testing. Well, there was really no DNA. Hi, Cherie. Welcome. Oh, you're muted, hon.
Hello.
Glad you could make it.
Finally.
But there was really no DNA testing done, at least before trial. Now, I could be wrong, but they may have tested the gun, but I don't recall for sure. And like I said, I looked to try to find who did any testing that was done, any forensic testing that was done. I looked to see if I could find out who it was, and I could never find it. So,
well, I mean, as I say, in my opinion, Bob Macy was involved. Bob Macy was the one that arrested him, got him convicted, was part of the investigation. Probably tell the guys, get me anything you can, it doesn't matter. And then Gilchrist was in the lab. I mean, so it's got to have been her. She was the head of the lab at that time.
Oh, you know what? I mean? She was not, because she had been fired by 2000.
Oh, right, okay.
Now that I think about it.
Right, okay.
And I had that just came back. That just came to me that she had been fired in 2000, so it wasn't her. And even before she was fired, she was, her lab and her were both under investigation. So it
Yeah.
wouldn't have been Joyce Gilchrist, but that doesn't mean that that whoever it was wasn't dodgy.
Exactly. I mean, well, who came after Gilchrist? It was Elaine Taylor.
Yeah, Elaine Taylor came in after for sure. So
And who was trained by Gilchrist. That's why I
yep,
call her Gilchrist 2.0.
yep,
Because she was trained by Gilchrist. And if she came after her, then it's probably been her that's maybe done the testing. And I mean, this is just my opinion and my thoughts, and yeah, I may be speculating. But she was trained by Gilchrist, so
yeah,
she's picked up Gilchrist's bad habits, way the lab, everything like that. And just looking at Daniel's case is a prime example of that.
hmm,
Because the shenanigans that have went on in Daniel's case has probably went on in Julius's case. Why? Because they were trained by the people. And
yeah,
that's just my opinion. It's like if
right,
you're trained by an older bad cop, then you're going to get trained by his bad habits and ignore his bad
yeah.
habits and then follow his bad habits.
Right. Well, because you get, if you get an FTO or, a lab supervisor who's training you and they say, I can just see them in yeah, we're not supposed to do that, but we do it anyway. Ha ha ha. As long as nobody
Yeah,
knows,
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it's definitely, even though Gilchrist was out of the lab by then, Bob Macy, he didn't have to have her. I mean, he was very capable of being, a liar and you know,
A cheat,
doing
a fraud.
yeah, yeah, he was just as capable without her. And not to mention, we know also that David Prater was a part of Oklahoma City by then during that time, and
Mm,
so again, look at Bob Macy or look at David Prater, and there you have Bob Macy.
yeah,
So it's just it's horrible that it can't just all be wiped out and cleaned, and people, new people come in that, but you can never really, I don't know, I just really I've become very, very cynical, and I just don't have a lot of trust for anybody. And so, to me, let's bring in new people from out of state who don't know anybody, and
yeah,
who they're not trying to line their pockets and get a political career that they're clamoring for, and because otherwise I just worry that nothing's ever going to change.
yeah, yeah. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay, Cherie, we were wondering about gosh, now I can't even remember what we were wondering about before you came in about um, gosh, I'll have to wait for Alice to come back because now I don't remember what we were talking about. Um, had something to do with if Julius would be able to. Well, is it like, do you know, just at least in New York where you practice law, would it just be a done deal where um, uh, uh, Julius was told, governor stipulated no applying for parole, no this, no that, no, you can't get, can't ask for a new trial, you can't, all these no's that he got. Do you know if that's just a hard and fast rule, or do you know if there's any possibility legally that he might be able to pursue?
Well, I've never seen that happen before I mean, it doesn't mean it hasn't happened, but I haven't investigated it, I guess I should say, where they, do do what they did and stop him from being executed, but then say, but this can't happen and that can't happen. So I can't tell you. If it's an executive order, I know that, if our governor puts out an executive order while he's governor, the next governor can undo it, but I don't know if it works that way with clemency and all this too, if what he says stands forever. I wouldn't think so, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Oklahoma has an election next year, for a new governor, and so is it a possibility if they elect a new governor that they can, possibly, ask for all kinds of new stuff. Hi, Kit the cat, the KK Katie, and hey, Hamberry, welcome to our channel. I appreciate you coming. It's good to see you. Good to see all of you guys here. Yeah, Jazz Naz one says get Dr. Silkman and a few of his students on the case. Yes, I agree. That would be great.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway, so that's what I was thinking. Is there a possibility with a new governor coming? They better elect a new governor next year. If that was a possibility, that they could, ask for new things, new stuff. So
Yeah, I agree that I'm thankful that his life was spared, but I also would like him to be able to, fight for his innocence and,
right.
just like Richard Glossop, it makes me think of him that these cases are similar, that the guy that actually probably did it is the one that gets the easier sentence and gets, and testifies against the innocent one, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I find that so disturbing that criminals can get just, you know what, just give me his name. If you give me his name, I'll knock 12 years off your sentence. That's bribery. That shouldn't be allowed in any part of any investigation or interview or anything like that. And then when it is found out, it should be confronted and it should be putting a stop to. That's the problem. There is so many wrongs. I don't know if that's the right word I'm using, but there is so many things wrong with your justice system.
Exactly.
That I don't know how or where you start to clean it up. Well, I mean, I suppose one of the things would be every state in America to get rid of the fucking death penalty, for one. That might be a start. But, for when it's dodgy dealings with police and lawyers and prosecutors and everything else, people should be able to come forward without any repercussions. Do you know what I mean? Like being shunned by the police force or shunned by the DA's office or, whatever it may be. Because I think that's part of one of the biggest problems as well, is the fact that the whistleblowers are the ones that get the punishment, and the ones that are doing the bad stuff that the whistleblowers are talking about get promotions and pats on the back, and he was just doing his job, and they didn't mean to say it that way, but that's how it's, you know what I mean? And they cover their ass. So the immunity needs to go, the death penalty needs to go, and whistleblowers need to be more protected.
Need to be protected, right? Exactly. I agree 100% with you, Alice. Kit the cat, the KK Katie, not sure who that is, says that someone from Blind Injustice told me that it's a statute in Oklahoma that allows only one commutation per sentence. I haven't researched that, though, to verify. So, are you meaning then that, so are you saying then that this is the only thing, like this is it? Even with a new governor, he can't, from what Blind Injustice has mentioned, that there's no possibility for any other kind of relief? Yes, I know who you are. It's being a smart ass. She says, I'm Katie did it. I said, yeah, I know. I recognize the picture. Oh, God.
Yeah, that was the giveaway. And then the KK maybe too.
Yeah, never mind all the K's and Katies and kits and cats. But from what you understood, Katie or Kay, whoever you are, whatever your name is, you don't know about the new governor situation. Okay. Yeah, that's yes, that picture looks just like you. It hasn't changed at all in the last year. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking is that I don't know anything about her, but I know there was a Democratic a lady who a Democrat woman Democrat several weeks ago, I believe, that announced. I saw it on Twitter. She announced that she was going to be running, and I said, I don't care what party you're from, as long as you can get rid of the corruption in Oklahoma and clean up the justice system. I don't care if you're the Santa Claus party. I don't care. Just do something to fix the problems in that state. So
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it's not even that. It's the fact that the first execution that they did after 6 years or something like that was botched. The same
yeah,
reason why the last one, 6 years before that, got stopped was
right.
because it was botched. You know?
And that
So,
was Richard Glossop, who was just a few hours away from being executed. Was before when they finally put the moratorium on executions, because it was just hours before his execution that it was discovered that they were still using the same drugs
yeah.
that botched the other ones. So
Yeah. But for the fact that for Julius, and was it another 4 or something like that were meant to be getting executed between this week and next week? You know what I mean? For the fact that the one that they did about a month ago or a few weeks ago was botched, and they said that it wasn't botched, but people that were actually there seen it and said the guy was convulsing and vomiting and everything like that because they're still using the same stuff that they used 6 years ago. I mean, to me, that should be an investigation done
right,
into that. You know what I mean? Why are they still using the same stuff that their botched execution 6 years before that? And yet the Oklahoma state people, governors, lawmakers, whatever, still went ahead and let them go ahead and use the exact same stuff on this one that has just happened. To me, that is a bad sign, and they need to get it sorted, and they need to stop the death penalty in that state.
right.
Because even to get new, it's not even medicine, it's new lethal weapons, by going somewhere else and buying it somewhere else, in my opinion, they're still murderers, because that's all they're doing. What gives them the right to say, be judge, jury, and executioner, and say, oh, this man deserves to die? You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just, it's ah, it just
yeah,
boggles my mind. That's all.
yeah. It's really interesting because I tweeted something this afternoon. I don't know, I've made a million tweets today, so I couldn't tell you who it was or any of the context of it. But I said that oh God, never mind. I forgot what I said. My brain is not normal. I'm sorry. Anyway, it had something to do, I think, with what you were saying, um, Alice. Anyway, it'll come to me later when the show's over. But yeah, and also lately too, as I've been tweeting over the last few weeks. Um, uh, hey, 801 Life, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining my show tonight. I appreciate it. Good to see you too. Um, the I've been tweeting over the last several weeks. The closer it got to today, that I've been hashtagging Bob Macy and Joyce Gilchrist, because I I you guys know, at least our little tight knit group here, we know and we believe that Bob Macy and Joyce Gilchrist are the catalyst for all things corrupt in Utah. maybe Utah as well, who knows? But in Oklahoma, maybe they did spill over to Utah. I don't know. But anyway, 801 Life, who just popped into the chat. 801 is one of Utah's area codes, and so it made me think of that when I saw it. So it made me say Utah. Um, anyway, I've been, and nobody's ever really, commented back asking me or saying anything about Bob, my hashtags for Bob Macy and Joyce Gilchrist, and that was okay. I thought, my idea was hopefully they would click on those hashtags and learn about them, learn who they were, and I like to believe that those people, who are tweeting, who live in and are from Oklahoma, they already know. However, finally today, somebody said something about Bob Macy, and you know me, I was all over it, and I just can't keep my mouth shut about some things, and so I went ahead and commented a couple of retweeted a couple of comments to him, but um, whoever it was said Cowboy Bob Macy. And I thought, okay, this person must be familiar with Bob Macy or with Oklahoma or, something, because I don't know that. I mean, if Kay hadn't told me Cowboy Bob Macy, I wouldn't have realized that was like a nickname for him, or Hang 'em High Bob, or Hang 'em High Macy or whatever. I wouldn't have necessarily known that. So I figured whoever it was that was tweeting about Bob Macy, Cowboy Bob, must have, been from the area. But another thing. So let me ask you two, Cherie and Alice, about what are your thoughts about why Governor Stitt finally granted clemency?
For me, I think it's a couple of things. The first one is what I've heard about and everything like that. He was supposed to be pro-life.
Uh-huh.
So for him to send Julius to be executed, that's him not pro-life, in my opinion. So I think that's number one. And number two, I'm not 100% sure on this, but if he's due for re-election or anything like that, I mean, there was over 70 million people voted, signed the petition, and everything like that. So to me, in a way, I think it's a political sort of thing as
Uh-huh.
well. So that's the two main things for me. When he was getting voted in and everything like that, he says, "Oh, I'm pro-life" and everything like that. Well, to be pro-life, you don't send somebody to death. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if he's due to run again in 22 or 24 or whatever, it could have been that, because maybe it's because of my skepticism with other cases and that we've worked on. I don't believe he's done it out of the goodness of his heart.
I don't either.
You know,
No.
and I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion. You know what I mean? That's my thought and my train of thought. And it's just pure skepticism on my part. There's no way he has done this just out the goodness of his heart, or because it's the right thing to do, or you know what I mean. I think it's to do with he said that he was pro-life. That's why he probably got voted in that position in the first place. And then if he's due to rerun soon, then that could have been a reason as well.
Uh-huh. Right. Cherie?
Well, I think pretty much what Alice said. I don't know how many Oklahomans were after him to do this, or whether it was people from all over. Maybe that helped. And if there's quite a bit of doubt about his guilt, I would hope that would be something. Whereas with the other guy there, John Grant, I guess there was no question, or I don't know much about his case, so maybe there was a question. I don't know, but that's what I heard.
John Grant admitted his guilt in the murder that he committed.
So I don't know if the fact that there was more question about his innocence, and maybe also because they flubbed up some of the executions lately, and
Yeah.
the combination of all the things probably. But
Right.
I'm glad he did it. I don't like his conditions, but
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I
well,
think a lot of people will be glad it actually came through. You know,
Right.
I know what they wanted with the no parole part. That's why I was wondering if that's it. Is that Julius's road shut now? He can't go any further, or can he still go down the process? He now still try to prove his innocence, because as I was saying to Rhonda earlier on, uh, in my opinion, there is just too much doubt with the evidence that I've seen and heard and noticed over the last wee while, that I think he should have got time served, you know. So I think Katie said that he still did have routes to go in the court system. If that's the case, then thank God, because there is just too many questions over his conviction to begin with. And as I says, the DNA evidence, Bob Macy was involved in his conviction in that. So in my eyes,
Yeah.
he should have been time served.
Yeah. I agree.
and where there's life, there's hope. I mean, at least maybe he'll get in a better place, a more pleasant place, as far as prison can be pleasant. Probably not,
Right.
and I think he just has chances more than he obviously did otherwise.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Well, can you imagine? I mean, that's something else we need. I, it took me a minute to think about it today. Well, a while to think about it, but so now he's off death row. He is no longer a death row inmate. And on for over years. Can you imagine? I mean, I wonder if there is some sense of freedom just from leaving death row to Gen Pop or Max, whatever I don't know, of course, where they're moving him to, but not only is he leaving death row, but he's been on death watch in a seat, preparing for his execution for a month now. So not only has he been on death row, but he's been on death watch, where he's had a light shining on him 24/7. That light never it's like a to me, it's like a form of torture
yeah.
to leave the light on and just never give
Sleep
him any.
deprivation. It's
Yes,
sleep deprivation,
yes.
Rhonda, because how are you meant to sleep with a big bright light on you? Do they not have night vision cameras in
Right,
fucking death row? You know what I mean?
right, right.
Um, why have a big bright shining light? You know what I mean? I mean, I know you've maybe got to watch them for suicide watch or something like that. Well, give them a dull. If you're having the lights on all the time, put in a fucking 20-watt bulb instead of a 100-watt bulb. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let them try and at least get some sleep.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think it will be like a kind of freedom of movement
Yeah.
is what it's going to be for him. Because as you say, he's been on death row. Now that he's not on death row, he can get moved into a general population sort of thing, which means he's going to be able to talk to different people and
Right.
get out in the yard.
He's going to be able to, he's going to be social, you guys. Social. Even though
Yeah,
it's in prison, he is going to be able to be social now for the first time in over 20 years. And it's
yeah,
just, that's going to be, if he were, it's just like when somebody who's been in prison for over 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 years, and they're finally released or exonerated or whatever it is back into society. That's the biggest adjustment that one could probably have in life, I would imagine, in those
yeah,
circumstances. And it's got to be kind of the same. I would imagine it's kind of the same for for Julius now leaving death watch, first of all, back to not even going back to death row, but going out to Gen Pop or whatever they're going to do with him. I can't imagine that he's going to be in maximum security or anything like that. He's not a threat to anybody there. So, or at least I don't believe he is, but it's hard to say, but I just was thinking, man, it's actually another whole amount of freedom for Julius at this point, to get into, normal prison life, I guess. That really sounds weird to say, but, whatever a normal prison life is.
I noticed that Shaz put the message in, Julius is one I don't believe is innocent, but I don't agree in the death penalty. Especially after listening to Death and Justice, I believe this guy deserves life in jail. But that's fair enough, Shaz, but I've followed the case a wee while now. Not as much as the rest of the cases that we've been doing. There is too many questions on Julius's case, and you speak about Death and Justice. Well, Bob Macy from Death and Justice was involved in Julius's case. So to me, that is a big red flag. For the amount of people that Bob Macy sent to death row who were innocent,
and he knew they were innocent.
I do believe that Julius is innocent of the crime that they're saying that he committed. And I mean, that's just my opinion.
One of the, from Death and Justice, one of the saddest cases in the book was Robert Lee Miller, and who was convicted of the rapes and murders of the old ladies, the old women, the old people. I don't know how to say that politically correct. I don't care. But he was innocent of it. And that was proven through DNA eventually. And Bob Macy was like, well, you know what? He may have been innocent of the actual rapes and murders, but he was probably Ronnie Lott's lookout. He was the lookout, and he just like, oh my God, he just could not let an innocent man be innocent for the sake of just being innocent, and it's really rather horrific, honestly.
Sounds like his protege, Prater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because we know David Prater is not any better. In fact, I almost feel like David Prater is worse, because he is. I don't know how he can be worse, but he's just got the look on his face like he is just born to be evil, David Prater. And so we'll talk about David Prater in a couple of weeks, in more depth. But
wasn't it for Julius that he sent out like 100-page document trying to convince them not to do it?
Yes.
Give him any clemency.
Yep. Well, and he tried to sue Governor Stitt.
Wow. I wonder why you're trying so hard.
Yeah,
Peter.
exactly. Yeah,
trying to cover up something?
Yeah. Why is it such a, it's like such a, he's not going to be able to move on with his life, and because it's so important for him to keep these men in jail, these innocent men in prison. But why, and just like with John O'Connor, the new Attorney General, he must really be, pissed off right now, because he said in a recent tweet, an article that I retweeted, that he was talking about, while we were waiting for Stitt to make a decision on clemency, he said something. He was in an article and said something about, he feels really good about the decision that Governor Stitt's going to make. He said, Governor Stitt has known me for years. He respects me, and he usually does what I say. Oh my God, you guys have pissed me off so bad.
I bet it did.
I tagged him. I tagged him, and I was just like, "Who the hell do you think you are?" I was so mad, because he respects me, and he usually does what I tell him, or does what I say, or does what I tell him to, or something. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's another That's another Michael Hunter right there, in my opinion. Might as well just be Mike Hunter. Should have just stayed in the damn position because it's just the same."
Sounds like it.
So, but yeah, so, well, my thoughts on why Governor Stitt granted the partial clemency have however you want to, it's a partial clemency to me, just because, like we've been talking about, he should have been, what's the words, help my brain, instead of, oh my goodness, instead of granting life without parole, it should have been life with parole or time served. And I agree that I think that's what it should have been. I think that Stitt did what he did and waited until the last minute because Stitt was screwed either way. No matter what he chose to do, somebody on one side or the other is going to be pissed at him. And I think that he thought, I would rather risk having my political allies angry with me and calling me out than to risk, and it was like Kay said, risk a huge riot that could have happened, could have been possible, was possible in Bricktown in Oklahoma. They don't want to see their fortune burned to the ground in Oklahoma, in Bricktown.
That's a good point.
And so, yeah. So I think that he really wanted to follow his, I think he wanted to follow what O'Connor told him and what, others. But there are also plenty of politicians in Oklahoma, and I wish I could name them, some of them or any of them. I really can't. But who were for clemency, and I'm not talking about the PMP board. I'm talking about other politicians, on both sides, and who thought that he should be granted clemency. And so I'm sure that Stitt was probably going, who do I risk getting pissed off and angry with me? Well, I think it was going to be easier for him to go to John O'Connor at some point today and say, look, I didn't want to risk having Bricktown burned to the ground. So this is the decision I made, and that's why. That's just how I feel. I don't think it was done intentionally out of the goodness of his heart or prayer or anything else. I know that's a really judgmental thing to say, and I don't care because that's how I feel. So, and I could be completely wrong too. We could all be completely wrong. He could have just been on his knees like he claims he was for the last several days and all morning this morning, praying about that, and been led by the Spirit to do, exactly what he did. Unfortunately, Julius's defense counsel was inept, uneducated, inexperienced. The female, I can't remember what her name is, but the female defense counsel, it was her first. She was fresh out of law school, if I'm not mistaken, and she was assigned to. Oh my God, what is it, you guys? I can't believe my mind is so foggy. Cherie, like what your title is?
A staff attorney?
No, like
public defense.
A court appointed attorney. Tell me the name.
Court appointed. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, but what is it called? I can't think of the name of that person.
Oh,
The title.
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, the court appointed attorney. She had, from what I understand, she was pretty much fresh out of law school and had no experience in litigation yet. So obviously, no experience in litigation in a death penalty case, and that was a huge problem. And then the other attorney that was from the defense counsel's office for the state, he admitted, that yeah, we probably didn't give Julius Jones the best defense possible. We failed to do this, we failed to do this, we failed to do this, which is why I can't understand why he was never granted a new trial based solely on ineffective assistance of counsel.
Was that before, I wonder, where they had, like, I know, and I think in most states, but I'm not sure, that when there's a death penalty involved, they have to have a death penalty, somebody who's experienced in that,
Well, I would think so.
Yeah.
And I think that the lead counsel, the male attorney, oh God, I know his name, but I can't even think of what his damn title is, so forget his name. But I believe he had experience, but I don't know. I don't know if he felt intimidated by the state. It was Bob Macy after all, and so maybe he felt intimidated and just didn't know, and then looked at his co-counsel and said, "Holy shit, I don't stand a chance with this lady." So I'm just really not going to work all as hard as I probably should, because we're going to lose this case anyway. Now that's probably a bit. A little bit too much for me to say that, but it's just a thought, I mean, he had absolutely ineffective assistance of counsel, and his lead defense counsel admitted as much. So how can that not be grounds for a new trial in and of itself,
Yeah, he did almost nothing. I remember being horrified, and it shouldn't have been allowed to stand.
Well, and to not even call any witnesses, and I'm not talking about necessarily his family, offering the alibi, which, by the way, should have been allowed or should have been done, but again, his counsel didn't do that. But to just, to when the state rested, and the judge said, I wonder who his judge was. I don't remember that either. When the judge said, state, do you have any witnesses? And he stood and said, no, Your Honor, the state, or the, defense rests. Julius must have just been going, what the fuck are you talking about, rest? What does that mean? We're taking a break and then we're going to come back and call witnesses? What are you doing? But, yeah, he just didn't, it wasn't done. So,
and it's not like you could stand up and scream in court, what the fuck are you all about, mate? What do you mean you got to rest?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, and especially too, Alice, when defendants are told, before they go into the court or the trial or the courtroom or anything, and Cherie can correct me if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm not just getting this all off of TV, but from what I understand, the defendant is always told, don't show any emotions. Don't look like you're mad about something that gets said, or surprised, or they're just supposed to have this like blank look on their face. Yet is that like a real thing, Cherie?
Well, I didn't tell my clients that, but I've heard that, like in the West Memphis 3, they told Jesse Miskelly his attorneys told him not to show any emotion, to put his head down, and then he was criticized for putting his head down.
It was the same with Luke. It was exactly the same with Luke as well. He was told, don't show any emotion or anything like that, because if you start greeting, they'll call it crocodile tears and things like that. So when Luke's guilty verdict came across, he was holding that tight onto the seat that he was sitting on. He says that if he wasn't holding onto it as tight as he was, he probably would have keeled over. You know, so they can't win in that sense, because if they show emotion, it's, oh, look at that, it's crocodile tears, they're putting it on, everything like that. And then if they don't show emotion, it's, oh, well, they've got no remorse, they don't give a shit, and everything like that, you know. So when a defendant is in the dock like that on something like that, they cannot win on that situation, because it's a catch-22. They're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
That's right. And I get really frustrated when in a trial, you know, a defendant is usually, if I'm not mistaken, usually always strongly advised by their defense counsel not to testify on their own behalf. I know that was done with Daniel. He was, you know, strongly advised, if not outright told, even though they're not supposed to, you know, no, you're not going to testify. But they're strongly, and that's not because they don't believe their client or they think their client's going to lie or they think that, but I think that's because the state is most likely, once they are get to cross-examine, they're going to twist and turn everything that the defendant says during his direct with his counsel, and you know, just tear that defendant apart once they get a hold of him. I kind of caught some of the Arbery trial today when the prosecution was uh, cross-examining the defendant, and she was doing that, and she's a hard nose too. I remember, I don't know what her name is, but she's a hard ass.
Yeah, I've been absolutely hooked to that, to the case. And I was for the with the Rittenhouse case as well, but it's disgusted me, because I think that little shit is going to get off with murdering 2 people, because of the rules and things like that they've done, which I don't think is right. And I'm going to say this now, this is my opinion and my thoughts, and as an outsider looking in the US, if that was a black person, Hispanic, Mexican, or whatever, that was walking the streets brandishing that gun like that and touting the way he was touting about, and then shot 3 people, killed 2 of them, that person would be in jail right now, not sitting in a fancy house with his parents or whatever. You know what I mean? And as I say, this is just my opinion.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it would be a completely different story if that was a coloured person or a Hispanic or anything like that. They would be sitting in jail where 750,000 bail bond that there's no way that they could ever afford to pay. And then during that trial, their victims would have been allowed to be called victims, you know. That was one of the things that pissed me off about the Rittenhouse case. But they weren't allowed to be called victims, they were to be called rioters. So honestly, I think he's going to get off with it. But the Ahmaud Arbery case, that is completely different. And I'll give the defence their due. They're trying. They are really trying. But that prosecutor woman, I can't even remember what her name is, Dukowski or something like that, is brilliant. She's doing a brilliant job of putting it across what actually happened, in my opinion. So
Yeah, she reminds me of a Georgia, or what is it, Alabama's. Is it Georgia or Alabama? I think it's Georgia. Where did that crime take place?
Georgia.
Georgia.
Yeah.
But she reminds me of Georgia's version of Kathleen Zellner. Honestly,
Yeah.
she's pretty. she's pretty stern, and she knows what she's talking about, and she knows all her ways around for sure. And I only watched just a little bit of it today on the news. I haven't followed either trial, yeah, from start to finish at all in any way. So, um,
Yeah, well, as I said, I've watched the Aubrey case for the beginning as much as I can get, because you can get it live on YouTube, and it's 11live.com or something like that I'm watching it on the new, because when the trial was going on, some of the sites and the places that it was getting shown wouldn't show you the pictures of Ahmaud's body and things like that, but then there was others that showed you everything. And I think that's been brilliant, because they've broke it down step by step, how it's all folded. And when the defense is trying to get something in there or say something, I say it when she's like, objection. And I mean, I know we've always been angry with the cases and things like that we do, especially with doing the transcripts without playing that. Rhonda, you'll know just as well about it, and Cherie, as the objections that they keep making and everything. We're like, oh, for God's sake, no.
yeah,
you know, but with her, I'm like, objection, and then she'll come in and go, objection. I'm like, see, I told you.
I know. Oh man, it's too bad that we can't apprentice our law degree through.
I know, eh? I Google a law professor by Google.
Yeah. And Cherie's saying, "Oh hell no!" After all the years I've been to school and all the money I've spent, no, you don't get nothing for free. But sometimes I think we just, not that we know a lot or anything really, but I think that we do know enough sometimes that we know when something should be an objection, or something was, out of line, or, whatever, we know enough sometimes to be able to do that, to pop up with our own objection first.
Yeah. I mean, I've done nothing but scream at my telly. I mean, I've got my nephew here with me now, and I've been catching up on that, and he's like, "Are you been shouting at that telly again?" And I'm like,
Yes,
well, they're trying to bring up put probation into it, and the fact that he had this, and that's got bugger all to do with it. It's irrelevant.
Oh, I know. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to do today. I just wanted to, I don't know, I just wanted to, having all the feelings about, I really just thought it was just a dark day for me. I just thought, I've been dreading it. A few days ago, Jack mentioned, hey, can we get started on, Brendan's post conviction? He said, I was thinking Thursday or Friday. And I said, well, I'm afraid I'm going to be on execution watch on Thursday. So Friday might be a better day for me. And I will be honest. I really did believe that the governor was just going to, hold out to the last minute and then just say, I've decided not to grant clemency or whatever. And that we were going to be seeing Julius executed at 4:00. I really did believe that. Didn't want.
Yeah, I believed it too, Rhonda. I absolutely believed it. Just with the way things were going and how
long it took him. I mean, for
exactly.
God's sake.
Yeah. But then, in saying that, if he didn't take as long as what he did, we'd be sitting here saying, well, he made his decision too fucking quickly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know we would have. I know that's what we would have been saying.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that he has done the decision that he's done, and that Julius is going to be alive, whether that be alive for the rest of his life behind bars. He's still going to have a life, in a sense. I know it's no much of a life, but he's still going to be able to have visits with family and things like that. And it might be a bit better now. He might get more visits because he's not going to be on death row. So there might be some, what's the word I'm looking for? There might be some
reprieve or some silver lining.
Yeah, so wee bits of silver linings to come for him, even though he's going to be the rest of his life. You know what I
Right.
mean?
And you know, I don't know. If he had, like, I agree. If he had said something sooner, exactly what you said would have happened. You know, if he had made this decision and announced it a week ago, um, I, I don't know. I don't see. I don't think that there would have been. There would have still been. We would have still been fighting, and we would have still been, trying to, you know, change his mind. I mean, because even at that point, he would still be able to change his mind up to the very last minute.
Yeah.
But if to wait until he did to make the decision that he did was just, I don't know. I just feel like it was just, the last bit of torture that he could. You know, I'm going to grant him life without the possibility of parole. So I'm gonna hold on to that decision until the last minute. It's the last bit of torture that we're gonna, as a state, we're gonna be able to impose. As far as the death penalty goes, I don't know. I believe. Hi, Neverly. Welcome, and welcome back, Shaz. I'm glad you got your internet back. um, but to because I'm so jaded and cynical, I just don't believe that any of them do anything for the right reason. They
Yeah.
have they have their own personal motives uh, for trying to do whatever it is that they do, no matter what it is. So, um, Shaz says, if JJ is innocent, do you know why the Innocence Project removed info from the website about JJ's bandana he was wearing during the shooting, that and the gun found in his wardrobe? I wasn't aware that they had removed any information from their website about Julius. I know that the Innocence Project is still advocating for him, and you know, uh, agreeing that he's innocent. I have a personal opinion about the DNA evidence that was performed. What was it, 4 or 5 years ago? Several years ago, on that bandana. Finally, um, and I can't remember. I thought that I had gotten a copy of that DNA testing that was done, the most recent on the bandana. I thought that I got that, and I thought I sent it to Dr. Silkman, but I just can't find I've gone back through my private messages with Dr. Silkman, and I can't see that. But there was the DNA evidence on that bandana doesn't say that Julius's DNA is exclusive, and it identifies DNA, I believe, from at least two other males, and it cannot exclude Chris Jordan. And so I know, no, that's not true, Shaz. That I do know is not true. It is not only Julius's DNA. Um, so and I'm going to have to go through, and I know there's a website somewhere on Facebook. Somebody's got a website with all the documents and everything. And Nosy, I would have to refer to Nosy to get that. But um, there was, I might be able to find it in the Mike Hunter if it's not archived or gotten rid of. I'm going to have to go and find that, because Mike Hunter gets up and talks about the amounts of this and the amounts of that and the DNA and et cetera. But there's no way that Mike Hunter, former Attorney General of Oklahoma, knows nearly as much about DNA as Kathleen Zellner, for instance. No way. And so when he's up there telling about the DNA, and there's this amount of this, and it's exclusive to Julius Jones, that's not true. And I'll see if I can find that, Shaz, and if I can find it, I will download it and share it for sure. Because I thought, like I said, I thought I had sent it to Dr. Silkman, to ask him, what is your opinion about this amount of DNA and blah blah blah. But I'm really not sure if I did or if I just dreamed it.
Did they not do a press conference, and they had
Yes.
all the different experts, and one of them was a guy who was saying that it wasn't Julius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in
You
my
mean that?
opinion, the pal planted that bandana in Julius's room.
I believe that as well. Christopher Jordan was sitting outside in the driveway in the police car, in the cruiser, in the back seat when that bandana was found. Why? Why would he need to be in the back seat of that car, of that cruiser, while they were searching Julius's room?
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
Many ifs, buts, or maybes.
Yeah, I believe that he was sitting in the back seat of the car giving directions to law enforcement about where to go to find that bandana. That's just my opinion.
Mine
That's
too.
what I believe. And but I know that there was at least DNA from at least one or two other males on that bandana, and that Christopher Jordan could not be excluded. And I believe that was according to the Innocence Project. So I'll see what I can find, Shaz, and I will share it. I'll share that with you, so that you can see for sure. So I saw Neverly come in. I don't know if you heard me say hello, but I sure did. I love you, Neverly, my West Coast homie. And I'm so happy that you were able to get a few minutes to pop in. Neverly, I don't know if you're still here or if you would feel like answering it either in chat or coming on and talking to with our on the panel about it. But I'm assuming you know something about midazolam, Neverly. You are a healthcare professional. I don't know if she's here. I'm going to put the link in there again, just in case she is still here and would like
And
to
what is that? Is that one of the things that they used?
That's the drug that they were not supposed to be using anymore, but were.
Right.
That they used on John Grant.
Right.
It's a sedative. Okay. If you'd like to come onto the panel, Neverly, that would be amazing, and you can just tell us. Oh, she's at work. Okay, I should have known that. She is the worker, hard worker. And Cherie's like, I just got home from work. I'll be so. And then there's me. I don't do shit. It's okay. I understand. So midazolam is the drug that they are using to execute these men, and they used it and they used it when they not just midazolam, but as Neverly said, it's a sedative, and so I believe it was supposed to just relax them and put them into a state of where they're not going to feel any pain or anything when the next drugs are administered. But at any rate, I read a lot of controversy about the midazolam, because when that was the drug that was first administered to John Grant a few weeks ago when he was executed. And according to the witnesses, the reporters who witnessed it, they said that he immediately convulsed, had at a minimum 12 really hard convulsions, or Neverly says it's a wonderful drug. Sounds like it. that he immediately, according to the one, his name's Scott something, he was with AP, and he said that he immediately started convulsing at least 24 times, seizure-like convulsions. So at least 12 separate little episodes. that he had, and then began to foam at the mouth and throw up. And that was just after administering the midazolam. So I just wonder, how much does it? How much? I mean, if we're just giving it as a sedative, if they're just giving it as a sedative to sedate the inmate, the prisoner that's to be executed, um, is the amount that John Grant got, or anybody else, any of these other inmates, in the years past got? Why are they having these violent convulsions and foaming at the mouth and throwing up after just being administered the midazolam? Because that's not the way I understand that they should be reacting after that. Um, let's see here. Shaz says,
Yeah, but even, I think I read somewhere as well, even the manufacturers of the drugs that they're using to execute these people say that it wasn't designed at all for that kind of administration.
administration. Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? So if the manufacturers themselves are saying it's not supposed to be used for this type of thing,
Right. That's
you
true.
know what I mean? Why the bloody hell are they still using it?
Yeah. Well, and they said they weren't. And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but I also believe that they couldn't, before they executed John Grant, they weren't able to get the reports from the state or from the from Oklahoma DOC to tell them what they were using. Um, Again, I could be mistaken on that, but I'm pretty sure there was some controversy in the days before, or the day before, or the day of John Grant's execution. So,
Yeah, I think I
um,
see something along the lines as well, Rhonda.
yeah. So, but because I believe in my heart of hearts that Oklahoma State as a whole is just corrupt from bottom to top, just like Wisconsin. That I can see that they would be refusing to offer any reports that they should have been giving. So, and Neverly says the amount is also a factor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but from our understanding of the how the death penalty in Oklahoma, or lethal injection in general, is supposed to work, I'm going to look up what Utah does because I don't know, but that they're supposed to be administering, an amount to just to sedate them, not kill them. I mean, those drugs
Yeah,
come later.
I think it's meant to be like a local anesthetic in a sense, so that they're not really feeling anything, but it's putting them in a sedative mode that they can't move, they can't wriggle off the table, things like
Right.
that. But then it's the other two concoctions that they're then pumping into them as well. So all three of the concoctions together are the ones that could be mixing it. The mixture of the three concoctions is what the lethal thing is.
Uh-huh. We have a new guest. I believe she's actually in our Discord. No name 42, and I believe we uh is that right?
Oh, you were cutting out there, Rhonda.
Oh, you're on mute. No name. You're muted, hon. We can't hear you. Oh, I can't. Yeah, her she's muted, so we can't hear her speaking.
Oh, I wait. No, that's because I'm careful. I come in to this thing is StreamYard muted because I need to make sure my YouTube is turned off.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't want the echo.
Okay,
And
gotcha. Thank you.
and if I have the echo, let me know. Okay.
Okay, we sure will. What did you want to share with us? You're from
Oh,
Sancho's channel, is that right?
wait. No, El Sancho.
El Sancho, yeah.
Hey, I've been watching the Ricado Law thing. Is Joe on Recato Law El Sancho? It certainly sounds like him, but it might just be the same accent.
Oh, I have no idea, hon. I haven't really been following El Sancho much at all lately, unfortunately, just because I've
No,
been.
I gave up last year. I'm sorry, I gave up last
Yeah,
year.
I don't really know. I don't really know.
No, but this seems like the same guy, Joe, on the Recato Law thing. He's getting 100,000 people watching him
Oh, okay.
as he's got the lawyers up there and they're doing their rebuttal, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah, well, are they armchair quarterbacks? I mean, these are all lawyers, so they actually know the law, which is kind of nice.
yeah. Yeah, it's nice having somebody who knows the law for sure. Did you have something to share about Julius Jones's case with us, or about death penalty and things like that? Or
Oh, I do not believe in the death penalty. You should be able to appeal forever.
okay,
I'm sorry, it costs more to kill them than it does to incarcerate them.
that's true. That's very true. Definitely costs more to execute somebody than it does to incarcerate them for life. So, yeah, well,
Yeah, but a lot of your jails are privately run, though, Rods, aren't they?
yes, they sure are. They count on recidivism.
So depending on
They
how
do
many
that in the USA. They do that in the USA so much. They have the private jails and they keep stuffing them with people, and the judges keep stuffing them with people.
Yeah, and it's however many they can get through the door, innit? It's how they make their money, and the fact that they have to pay for the phone cards and things like that as well, you know.
Okay, well, can we go the other way? I mean, back in the 80s, the next door neighbor, well, she was across the street from me. She's like, oh, my 16-year-old child is going to age out. I got to have a new baby so I can get more welfare.
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for sure.
For both of them. And the
Yeah.
hubby, too. Well, I don't know if he was actually a hubby, but oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that I was able to get out some emotions here today and get some opinions and some thoughts from others, and that's what I wanted.
Oh,
And so I think if anybody in the chat or Alice or Cherie don't have anything else to say, we'll probably.
did I scare you off? I'm sorry.
No.
No.
We've been talking about
I think you're stronger than that.
stronger than what?
Of being able to be scared off by me.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely stronger than. Yeah, definitely stronger. Yeah, it takes a lot.
It's been lovely to chat to you.
Yeah, I appreciate you popping in and sharing your thoughts with us. Definitely. So, but we kind of came on tonight, just kind of impromptu. It wasn't really planned. I decided a few hours before I went live to come on and talk about Julius Jones and his clemency, his partial clemency. And so, that was kind of our idea. And I did a little whining and crying again at the beginning, but that was just me and my little personal stuff. So, but
Yeah, I think it was a good idea. It needed to be discussed,
yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's going to be discussed for days and weeks and months to come, probably years.
I
So,
am just gonna live in my crochet world. Look at my hat and my blanket.
I love that
That's really-
blanket.
yeah, it's
I love
awesome.
that
It's psychedelic.
blanket.
You crocheted it?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's really cool.
It was supposed to be a tea cozy, but then I got a call. Well, no, I didn't get the call. My son got the call and told me my daddy was in the hospital, and I went there for 2 months. And this thing that was supposed to be a tea cozy is now a blanket.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Well, the super awesome thing about it is I wasn't going tappy, tappy, tappy on a phone. All I did was hook it.
Oh, I have no idea about any of that stuff.
No,
So
hooking means crochet as opposed to needling, which means knitting.
yeah, that a needle in each hand is not healthy or safe for me.
Oh, wait, no. If you drop it or your cat gets it, you're fucked. With crochet, all you gotta do is pull out a few stitches and
Yeah,
there you are, good to go again.
yeah, yeah. I know my mom used to crochet. She must have crocheted over 500 blankets before she passed, or Afghans before she passed away, and she loved doing it. So, yeah. Oh, that's really nice. I like those. That looks like a really nice coverlet or like wrap or
No, it's an
something.
Afghan. This is a weighted blanket. I put it over me when I sleep
Ah,
because it's so heavy.
yeah. I
And
need to get
that's
one of
just
those.
it. You don't need to buy beans and stuff. Just
Right. No,
go hooking.
go hook it. Okay. I'm going to remember that for next time. Thanks for sharing that with us. All right, ladies. Well, we're going to go ahead and end it here. And again, thank you, No Name, for dropping in. It's fun to have people drop in and say hi and share their opinions and thoughts and Afghans. So, unless there are any more comments or questions from the chat, we're going to. Cherie, Alice, did you have anything you wanted to say before we take off?
No, just thank you everybody for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah,
Yep.
I say
Love you. God bless you.
God
God
bless
bless
you too.
God
everyone and
bless you
all.
too.
Bless you too. And Cherie?
I want to thank everybody for coming too, and that was an interesting discussion. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely interesting. And next week on Wednesday, back to our regularly scheduled programming, we will be talking about Galen Gigger. And I know that I'm really anxious to start talking about David Prater, really anxious, but I just want to kind of work up to that evilness.
Yes.
So we're going to start with Galen Gigger for our next Wednesday for our regular program. So if you want to hear about evil Mr. Galen Gigger, the ADA in Oklahoma County, tune in next week and we will have Galen Gigger 101. And until then, peace out.
Bye.